Greetings, Trekkies and Trekkers. Thank you so much for your continued support, and welcome to another edition of Remembering Star Trek. Today, I'm going to be talking about the one film in the franchise that everyone, every single hardcore, true blue Star Trek fan to this day considers to be the best out of all of the Star Trek movies. And that, of course, is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Now, while I do agree that this is the best out of all the Star Trek movies, it's not my personal favorite, okay? And I will be revealing what my personal favorite Star Trek movie is in 2 weeks. So, there you go. So basically this movie is a sequel, or I guess you could say a continuation of what happened after the events of the original series episode Space Seed, which I talked about in my video, which I revealed my favorite episodes as well as the essential episodes from Star Trek the original series. And a lot of people felt like Space Seed had a lot of potential to be it was basically the episode that had the potential to be revisited in a movie, and that's what they did in Star Trek 2, and they did a great job. It was awesomely directed by Nicholas Meyer, who was also the director of one of my favorite time travel movies called Time After Time, and he also directed Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, and that just blew my mind that the director of Time After Time directed 2 Star Trek movies, so that's awesome. And of course there were a lot of changes in the production staff after Star Trek The Motion Picture came out. For example, Gene Roddenberry basically became the creative consultant, and so they brought in a new person to direct by the name of Harve Bennett, who hadn't seen the original series before. So basically he sat in a room and watched all the episodes, and then when we got to Space Seed, he was like, let's make a movie revolving around that episode. Let's see what happened sometime after the events of that episode, and that's what they did. However, originally they were going to do a continuation, or I guess a sequel of sorts, to my favorite episode from the original series, City on the Edge of Forever, in which the Klingons, they went back in time, prevented the assassination of JFK, and for some reason that prevented the formation of Starfleet, prevented Starfleet from being founded or something like that. But anyway, but yeah, and so then the Enterprise had to go back in time and make sure that everything's all hunky-dory and everything's A-okay again, and blah, 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 so there you go. But yeah, so anyway, so that's basically what happened, and ultimately they also decided to have Space Seed be the episode that they, that basically Space Seed was the one that like I said, Space Seed was the episode that had the most potential to be turned into a movie, and that's what they did. So there you go. So before I talk about the things I like about this movie and things I don't like about this movie, I think it's important to talk about 2 main things about this movie that a lot of people like to talk about or discuss, and etc., etc. And one of them is the death of Spock. Now, when I first watched this movie, it was through I basically watched this movie my dad had a VHS copy of the movie, and that's how I first watched it, and I was like, wow, that Spock died? Wow, I mean, he sacrificed himself to save his friends, and that was huge. That was a huge risk that they took, and I think it was because originally Leonard Nimoy, who of course played Spock in the original series and the movies and blah blah blah, he decided he didn't want to come back as Spock, and he figured, Spock should die and that should be it. End of discussion, end of story, so there you go. But however, Nimoy was like, okay, well, I'll come back in the next movie if you'll let me direct it and stuff like that. So that's how it happened, basically. And to be honest, I was actually okay with that, because if Spock is dead and you just leave him dead, then there's this, it feels like there's a big hole that no one can fill, basically, and that's pretty sad. And of course, I've gone through lots of bad spots in my life where I've lost, I've lost family members or friends, I mean, hell, November of 2014, I lost my great uncle. My great uncle passed away, and that was really sad, and also I lost my grandfather at an early age. I really don't remember how old I was when he passed away, but it was very sad, and yeah, so whenever I watch that scene where Spock sacrifices himself and then dies, it helps me get over those losses that I've had throughout my life, losing, friends and family and stuff like that. And it helps me to get over that emotionally, So, yeah. And the other thing that a lot of people talk about concerning this movie is the fact that the character of Checkoff wasn't in Space Seed, but yet somehow Khan recognizes him in this movie. How the hell does that happen? Well, there have been a lot of explanations over the years, but probably one of those popular ones was said by Walter Koenig himself when he said at some convention or something like that Chekov made Khan wait an extraordinarily long time to use the bathroom. That's it. That's the only real explanation we have, and it must have been when Chekov was like a lower ranking officer and stuff like that. So, yeah, and no, it's not a secret deleted scene or something like that. It's just a theory, it's just, people have lots of theories about things that happened in episodes and movies and stuff like that, and TV shows and whatnot. I mean, hell, there are even a lot of people nowadays who are theorizing as to the parentage of the character of Rey from Star Wars The Force Awakens. Guys, we'll probably get an answer to that in episode 9, so there you go. But yeah, but still, it's kind of interesting that a lot of people bring up that continuity error regarding Chekov not being a space heat. But again, let's just leave it up to the audience to theorize how those two characters, Khan and Chekov, know each other. So there you go. All right, so let's talk about the things that I like about this movie and the things I don't like about this movie. One of the things I do like about this movie is the costumes. They definitely upgraded the costumes, and they look awesome. They look really great. They look professional, and as SF Debris said in his review of the movie, they actually look like uniforms. They don't look like the silly pajama uniforms from the motion picture, so there you go. Another thing that I really, really love about this movie is the score. Props to you, the late great James Horner. You did an amazing job doing the music for this movie, and also for Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, which I'll be talking about next week. So, yes, great job with the music. I absolutely love it. It's great. Another thing I love about this movie is the fact that it's a very simple movie to follow. You get why Khan is getting revenge on Kirk. You understand his motivation, and you understand how hesitant Kirk is about getting command of the Enterprise again and everything else. It's a very interesting movie, and it's very simple and easy to follow, and that's what I like about movies. If the plot is simple and easy to follow, then you're good. Then basically you have an A+ movie right there. And again, that was another thing I liked about Star Wars The Force Awakens. The plot of that movie was simple and easy to follow. Same thing with Deadpool, which I've now seen 3 times. The plot of that movie was simple and easy to follow, and speaking of which, I'm wearing this awesome Deadpool shirt I got from Great. Let's see, but there. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, see, look, got Deadpool there. See, tacos. But yeah. So anyway, But yeah, but still, if the plot of a movie is similarly used to follow, then A plus right there in my book. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's another great thing I love about this movie. Um, Something that I don't like about this movie is the fact that Kirk has a son. Okay, yeah, we get in the original series, well, Kirk was doing things with lots of girls and stuff, and the fact that, like, after all that time, Kirk only has one child that we actually see on screen. Yeah, kind of makes me wonder about what's going on down there with Kirk, if you know what I mean. Or as George K would say, oh my. Anyway, I don't mind do that. But anyway, and probably one of the big things that I love about this movie is that this to me definitely feels like a Star Trek movie. You know, with Star Trek: The Motion Picture, it didn't feel like a Star Trek movie to me. It felt like a combination of 2001: Space Odyssey and Star Trek. Mash them all together, and you have Star Trek: The Motion Picture. This movie, however, I feel like it's pure 100% Star Trek, and I love it. You know, everyone is in character. They don't do anything rash or illogical or stupid. It's just a great movie that knows how to treat these characters right, and that's awesome, and I love it. It's definitely one of the reasons why I love this movie so much, so there you go. And there's really nothing much else that I don't like about this movie or despise or hate about this movie. But trust me, in about 3 weeks, let's just say there's a certain film in the franchise that I do have a lot of things that I hate about it. So, yeah. You probably know which movie I'm talking about, so there you go. So anyway, that's all I have to say about Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. I cannot do what I do without you. And next week, Remembering Star Trek will continue with Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. So until then, live long and prosper, and have a nice day.